And there's a Monkey Lord heading southward from 2 Speedy, but there's a TML salvo coming out, and it looks like it's going straight for the ACU of Illuminate 1. Illuminate 1 does have some TMD, but is it going to be within range? Yes, it is! Holy cow! Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever Community Cast Library. Just a couple of topics to cover before we kick off today's match, and first up on the agenda is replays. I need more. That's it. Second on the agenda, I've been getting requests over the last few weeks to start mixing in more ladder matches into my series, and the truth is I just don't feel particularly comfortable doing ladder casting. It's not a part of the game that I actively play. I do enjoy watching ladder, but I'm not very good at playing it, and I've only ever actually played 4 ladder matches, I think. So yes, if you do want a ladder fix, there is Jagged Appliance, who specializes in ladder casts, and if you don't know who Jagged is, check out the featured channel column on the right hand side of my YouTube homepage, or check out the description and I'll drop a link in there to his channel. Next up is thumbnails that I use for the episodes in YouTube. So the release of the last episode, I had an impassioned complaint that my thumbnails are ugly because of the stretching aspect. I essentially have to stretch a square picture into a rectangular shape. So I'm really looking for people's opinions on the thumbnails, if they matter to you or aren't you bothered. My personal opinion is that my thumbnails are actually a lot better than what most of the other casters use. I'm not going to name names, but that's just my opinion, and my opinion really doesn't matter, I guess. So please let me know if you want me to take another look at my thumbnails. I'm not particularly keen on going to the same generic YouTube generated garbage that some of the others use, but what do you guys think? So please drop in the comment section on that one. And finally, guys, please don't forget to show your support for the channel by smashing the thumbs up button if you enjoy the content. And if you haven't yet considered subscribing, please do so. And without further ado, I digress. That was a bit of a long one, wasn't it? So we'll kick off the match now, guys. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in there. Hello and welcome to a roller coaster of a 7 versus 7 on the 10x10 map, Adaptive Hilly Plateau. There's a lot of introductions to get through, so we're just going to kick straight in. We're going to call this team at the top, Team 1, and of course this team at the bottom, Team 2. Starting off with the players for Team 1 going yellow and UEF coming in at 1500. It's Drimica's. Second up for Team 1 going red and Master Cyber Race coming in at 1400. It's 2 Speedy. Thirdly for Team 1 going green and Aeon weighing in at 1700. It's Achieved Jaguar. Fourthly for Team 1 going blue and Space Pirate Alien Shenanigans coming in at 1300. It's Schlongdis. And then next up for Team 1, he drove a Volvo to today's match coming in at 1300. Going UEF, it's Lape. And then penultimately for Team 1, just wait. Just wait. Going orange and UEF coming in at 1700. It's Morax, who's not completed his factory, and he's going to walk forward a little bit before he realizes that he's not done that. So if a 1700 can do that, anyone can do that. And then lastly for Team 1 going pink Sususa and Master Cyber Race coming in at 1300. It's Artifacts. For Team 2, starting off on the left-hand side, going Old Man Grey and Cybran coming in at 1200. It is Mochalal Noob. Second up for Team 2, going blue and Aeon coming in at 1200. It's Blue Owl. Thirdly for Team 2 going Lilac and UEF coming in at a colossal 1800. It is Illuminate 1. And fourthly for Team 2 going red and Seraphim, the highest ranking player of the match at 1900. It is Aleg Nagi Obcourage. Sorry if I butchered that one. Next up for Team 2, it is preferred combination of Cyan and Cybran weighing in at an ever inflated 1700. It is Death Squad. And penultimately, for Team 2, going a Putrid Lime and Seraphim, coming in at 1400. It's hybrid. And then finally, lastly, for Team 2, going Purple and UEF, coming in at 1300. It's Matthew. So we did the intros there a little bit slower, just so we can try and take stock of the opening builds that people are going for here. So I'm just going to look straight at the pros. So Chief Jaguar here has gone first land with a single adjacency to a max point. He's got 2 maxes up, and then he's gone into his Hydra while simultaneously going for the 3rd max. And if we just pop down and take a look at Death Squad's gone a little bit different. So he's gone for the double max adjacency. So that's a pretty spam-centric opening, I guess, from Death Squad. Getting his core maxes up in his Hydro, pretty standard. Well, it's not actually that standard, because Death Squad has elected to keep his ACU in his base while he gets his core area in operation. If we just take a look at Morax, I mean, the plan for Morax, I think, was as soon as that first land factory was down, was to hit the front lines, very much like a Chief Jaguar has done. So a Chief Jaguar, first land, and his ACU is off the mark towards middle. Why is middle so important for this map? Well, that's why there's an awful lot of reclaim in the form of rocks. So the quicker you get forward, the more high value rocks you can intake. So we're just going to see a coming together here of Alegnagi Obcourage, we're just going to call him Aleg, and Achieved Jaguar, and we can see the the immense micro of manual reclaim orders and move orders going in here, and in between the movement they will exchange some civilized right arm action. So we're on Hilly Plateau, of course, as I mentioned. It's a pretty weird map, I feel. It's one very much designed for not beginners. Actually, something I'm just picking up on here is that Blue Owl has loaded up a early T1 transport full of engineers, and he looks like he's strategically going about the map doing engineer drops for reclaim purposes, one assumes. And no one on Team 1 doing that, so we'll have to take a look at Blue Owl's reclaim levels rather soon. So back in the middle. So as we were saying, anyway, it's a bit of a pro map. It's an awkward map because, particularly on the flanks, the matchups, the opponent slots aren't particularly even. So what I mean by that is, if we just take the left hand side, for example, here we've got Mochulal Noob against Drimicus, and Drimicus is going to have, well, he should have 9 maxes, maybe 10, depending on who takes that one there. Well, Mochulal's actually taking one of the balls off the forward line, but Mochulal has a area of less maxes. So on the left hand side, Team 1 should be winning, so Drimicus should be beating Mochulal, and over on the right hand side, Artifacts should be losing to Matthew. So that's typically how the flanks tend to go. And we got we've got 7 ACUs running around the middle, chasing down targets, trying to get some reclaim in. I think most of the high value stuff has been taken, so no value attributed to the smaller rocks, but there's still a fair bit of mass around the mid. Middle slots tend to even themselves out because the middle players all tend to work a lot better together than you don't tend to see middle players helping out the flank too often. Of course, that's a very generalistic statement. Early ACU upgrades here, and we've got Matthew into a T2 upgrade, just hitting the 5-minute mark. And probably a decent dish time to just take a look at the early reclaim levels here. So in terms of reclaim, first off, we'll just check in with Blue Owl. So Blue Owl with his engineering drops, he's got 3.4k reclaim in, and if we look to his mirror, Lape on Team 1, Lape at 1.4k, so that transport definitely worth it there for Blue Owl. He is double the reclaim mass than his mirror. And then other areas of the reclaim, top of the charts is 2 Speedy with 4.2k. No, it's not, it's Hybrid with 4.5k reclaim. So there's a concentration of 3 or 4 players. Of course, with Blue Owl taking much of the reclaim, he took it from his own side. It's not like he took it from the other team. So in terms of the reclaim level overall between the two teams, Team 2 just reclaiming 4k more than Team 1 so far, which is actually surprising because the ACUs for Team 1 were forward a lot more quicker than that of Team 2. So I thought Team 1 got most of this high value reclaim in the mid, but Team 2 so far with the higher reclaim. And that's enough of reclaim. So in terms of early upgrades here, Matthew has finished his T2. He's gone into the UEF gun upgrade. Death Squad going into the Siren gun upgrade. Chief Jaguar is playing a special snowflake of an ACU with the addon, so he's got to do gun and range upgrade as 2 separate upgrades. Sorry, gun speed and range. Over on the right hand side, Artifacts is not building land units, it would appear, and Matthew is pushing forward now on the right hand side, clearing out the area where Artifacts was setting up some T1 land factories. But Artifacts is starting to store up some Jesters, so Artifacts going a little bit off meta for this one. Death Squad is rampaging around the middle area with Mantis spam, trying to clear out some mexes, assert his authority on the middle as he gets his ACU into fighting shape, and having completed the gun upgrade, he's going to start to trudge forward over on the left hand side. And Mochalal is in the early stages of a gun speed upgrade, but Drimicus is pushing in on Mochalal's position right now. Drimicus having already done gun and T2 on his ACU, and Mochalal is forced to cancel that gun upgrade and fall back, and Drimicus now is trolling with the reclamation of Mochalal's forward land factory. And a Chief Jaguar on his Aeon Com now double gun and being assisted to shield upgrade as well. The push continues on the left hand side, and Drimicus now is starting to, well, there's a little bit of miss micro there from Mochalal. He meant to continue the withdrawal movements on his ACU, but instead a couple of reclaim orders going down instead, and Mochalal here needs to, well, there's not a lot he can do. The striker tanks of Drimicus are already in behind the ACU of Mochalal. Aleg is trying to reinforce, but I'm pretty sure Drimicus has got the measure of Mochalal here. Mochalal is going to go down. We do have mercies at the back here from Blue Owl, and the Jesters in the middle from Artifacts are being pushed forward onto Death Squad, and there's no air cover being afforded to Death Squad. We just see that the kill of Mochalal going down, and Drimicus is about to go down to the mercies, but in the center the Jesters getting Death Squad, so Death Squad effectively killed by a flock of pigeons, and Blue Owl goes down immediately after. So absolute chaos ensuing in the opening 10 minutes here, and it doesn't stop over on the right hand side. Having seen the Jester horde from Artifacts, Matthews cottoned on to the fact that Artifacts has got no land, so he's shoved all of his units into the ACU of Artifacts, hoping to get a kill here, I imagine, and Artifacts is going around reclaiming the T1 units of Matthew, and I think Artifacts is going to survive to the better graces of Morax, who's reinforcing his team compatriot now with his own stash of units. Back in the centre, we've got a Chief Jaguar with his double gun and shield upgraded comm going toe-to-toe with some T2 PD put up by Alec. And also reinforcing the ACU of a Chief Jaguar is the T2 shield. And that's the second T2 PD there, a Chief Jaguar getting the better of. But the shield's gone down and a Chief just going to start to pull back his ACU now, as we just see a Corsair come down the middle there from Schlongdis to take out a T1 Max. I'm not sure that was entirely worth it. So Schlongdis here going into full Corsair production mode, it looks like. And Aleg, while entertaining the ACU of a Chief Jaguar on the front lines, is having to go about the task of filling in the gaping wounds inflicted on his team. Of course, Team 2 losing 2 players in the opening 10 minutes and Team 1 only losing the 1. So Team 1 need to capitalise on the one-man advantage if possible, and 2 speedy for Team 1 is going to be also going about plugging in the gap left by Drimicus. The loss of Mochalal, and I don't mean this as an offensive comment toward Mochalal, but the loss of Mochalal to Team 2 is far less important than the loss of Drimicus to Team 1 because of the eco footprint that Drimicus starts off with. So it's not a huge advantage that Team 1 have forged themselves here. And we've got broadswords milling around the centre from Illuminate 1, and we've got more Mercies from Blue Owl being shifted across the bottom of the map from left to right. And at the top, Schlongdis now, he's starting to amass a formidable contingent of Corsairs. So there's much more shenanigans going on here, and we just see Blue Owl out with his reclamation transports again. So Blue Owl very active on his reclaim here. I like to see that. I wish I had the APM to do that more, and I'm just looking, I'm waiting for the Mercies, but maybe it's not going to happen. And the broadswords are being pushed up now, being pushed up into the vicinity of a Chief Jaguar, and the Corsairs are also heading from top to bottom. And Aleg with his ACU, he's pretty vulnerable right now to the Corsairs, and the Corsairs are going to come in on Aleg, while the broadswords of Illuminate 1 are taking out the T2 AA of a Chief Jaguar, and Aleg surviving the first pass there. It's down to 1300 hit points, but surely those Mercies are going to be somewhere. The Mercies are coming up onto a Chief Jaguar now. The T2 AA has been taken out by Illuminate 1. The Mercies are coming in. Very nice teamwork there by Team 2 between Blue Owl and Illuminate 1, and of course the Corsairs getting Aleg on the second pass. I feel like I've missed all the action so far, but we haven't. We just haven't seen the explosions as they've unfolded. But Aleg going down to the Corsair snipe from Schlongdis, and a Chief Jaguar going down between a nicely coordinated move between Illuminate 1 and Blue Owl. Illuminate 1 moving up the broadswords, taking out the T2 AA, and that of course frees up the Mercies of Blue Owl to move in and do the donkey work of the damage, although I do think that Illuminate 1 was actually credited with the kill. I could be wrong. Back on the right hand side now, and Matthew looking to come forward once again and apply pressure to Artifacts, and Matthew actually has a TML base up at the moment. He's not the only one. 2 Speedy also has some TML up at the moment. And once again, Morax is having to reinforce Artifacts on the right hand side. And all of this while, Hybrid has just been completely ecoing so far, so it's probably a decent time to take a look at the generated economies of everybody. And top of the charts right now on a income of 100 is 2 Speedy. That's not too surprising. He's filled out the top left hand corner now, vacated by Drimicus, so you would expect Speedy to be in that kind of bracket at the moment. He's pretty far ahead of everybody else right now. In second place, all the way back on an income of 76, is Blue Owl for Team 2. In third place is Hybrid with 72. He's actually just going to second there as Blue Owl's income drops. He hasn't got a power issue, so Blue Owl there just probably reclaim related figure I quoted. And we've got TML rolling in from 2 Speedy's launcher, and a T2 Max is going to go down here, and also a T1 Factory being targeted as well. We've got this broadsword being hunted down by the interceptors of 2 Speedy, and Illuminate 1 is just going to recall that. 2 Speedy starting to try and push down the left hand side with a mixture of T1 and T2 hoplites. And we've just got there some T1 artillery being edged forward by Matthew. There's enough TMD to cover the TML of Matthew. And there has to be a purpose to this, because there's no way he's going to do significant damage. And there we go, Matthew going for the TMD of Morax, and that's opened up part of the front lines of Team 1. And Matthew's already got the TMLs out of the tube, and he's not going for the T2 Maxes of Morax here. He's heading towards, this could be a snipe on Lape. Lape's seen it and he's starting to move, but the TML going in on the T3 Air HQ of Lape. I love the vision the vision there by Matthew, seeing all the way through the front lines to the back of Lape's base, taking out the T3 Air HQ of Team 1's, one of Team 1's air players, and Lape going to the extreme there of saying GG in team chat. I'm sure Lape is wondering how on earth they managed to breach the front lines. And 2 Speedy has added a few more TML launchers to his setup here. We've already seen him take out a T2 Max, and he's continued to take out T1 land factories to try and frustrate the expansion effort of Illuminate 1 into the vacated area left by Aleg. And of course, if we remember, Aleg took both slots when the first 2 members of Team 2 died, so Aleg actually effectively leaving an available footprint of 3 starting bases there. So that's a big gap for Team 2 to have to fill now, and Illuminate 1 looks like he's taking up the responsibility of that. But 2 Speedy looking ever more aggressive down this left hand side. He's kind of crossed the halfway line of the map, and he's got a foothold on the lower half. And Hybrid now starting to roll off with some sniper bots, and he's already been harassing the front lines of Morax, and Morax has already started to counter with some T2 artillery. And we've got a nuke launcher being queued up here by Illuminate 1, so nuke going to be a thing at some point in this game, perhaps. What upgrade is 2 Speedy on? I think that'll be a T3 upgrade for 2 Speedy, which he's just about to complete. And Hybrid continuing to troll the front lines of Morax, and there's an assist ping going on the HQ of Morax, and that's actually only got 4,000 hit points left on it. I'm thinking that Matthews targeted that HQ with a salvo of TML, so Matthew clearly trying to take out the T3 production capabilities of Team 1 at the minute. And he needs to start adding a little bit of T3 himself. At minute 18, Matthew still at T1 land spam. I tell a lie, because There's a Percy. So Matthew is at T3 land. He just doesn't have a lot of it. And the TMLs roll out from Matthew. And they're focusing in on this T3 land HQ of Morax. He's got TMD up, but it's not going to be enough, and Morax loses his T3 land HQ, so that's a pretty huge blow to Morax. Just as Hybrid is starting to become active in the match. Morax, of course, remember, is already having to constantly reinforce Artifacts. Artifacts is doing everything that he can, but let's not forget that his eco situation, or natural disposition to eco, is gimped compared to that of Matthew, his opponent, and Morax now has apparently had enough of the TML shenanigans of Matthew and is shoving in his mixture of T1 and T3 spam into the TML base of Matthew, but Matthew with his ACU and a Percival on hand to repel the push from Morax with minimal losses. I think they only lost a shield in terms of structures there for Matthew. Over on the left-hand side, and we've got a broadsword milling around the left edge of the map from Illuminate 1 being protected by the ASF. And actually, if you consider the fact that Lape lost his T3 Air HQ, he does have it back now. I'm surprised that Team 2 haven't tried to capitalize a little bit more. Both players have been largely producing ASF still, where it should be quite apparent that they're going to have more ASF than Team 1. So arguably Team 2 not capitalizing on air superiority here. We do see an exchange of ASF between Illuminate 1 and Lape, and Lape's pulling out what remains of his ASF when he sees Blue Owl rocking in on the scene. So yeah, Blue Owl and Illuminate 1 here for me should definitely be going into strats and gunships right now as opposed to more ASF, because Lape's got problems. Schlongdis, I don't know what Schlongdis is doing since the Corsair snipe, but he's still at T2 Air. I think this is a T3 upgrade for Schlongdis. Yes, it is. But Lape, his ASF, what remained of them, were just hunted down by Blue Owl there, and that's freeing up this broadsword. It's just one broadsword, but so far it's claimed 3 maxes. 2 of them were capped T2 maxes, so could be doing more, but solid work being done. And just as we say that, the broadsword going down to the bouncer of Speedy. Matthew continuing to harass here, and we've got another salvo of TML coming in here. Again for the HQ. Morax this time loses a T2 land HQ. Why on earth, having lost the T3 land HQ in the same spot, would you then try to rebuild the HQ when you haven't locked it down with TMD? He's got a T1 land factory at the back here under the protection of a little bit more TMD, mainly this one from Artifacts here. I would have upgraded that one and stuck some more TMD and made it a bit more difficult than that for Matthew to continue to cause such problems for Morax. Let's not forget that Morax's UEF and his TMD does pretty much suck balls. And there's a Monkey Lord heading southward from 2 Speedy, but there's a TML salvo coming out, and it looks like it's going straight for the ACU of Illuminate 1. Illuminate 1 does have some TMD, but is it going to be within range? Yes, it is. Holy cow. Illuminate 1 down to 300 and something HP there, and the second volley, Illuminate 1 had to be sharp on his toes just to dodge the second volley as well. And I just want to We are talking millimeters there between this TMD. If this TMD hadn't have fired, Illuminate 1 would be dead, and the arc of coverage from the approach of the TML there, from where his comm was, we're talking very slim margins there, obviously, because that's all that's left. But he's got more issues to contend with right now as he tuck tails and runs southward. Does Illuminate 1, as this Monkey Lord is heading south, and right now it looks like it's got a free pass to maraud its way through Team 2 territory. Blue Owl is in the mid stages of a GC, but I'm not sure if he's going to get that up in time. We do have a chicken from Hybrid. It was making its way forward, but having seen the Monkey Lord of Speedy, it's now being rediverted across to the other side of the map to try and intercept the Monkey Lord at some point. The GC is going up at rapid pace from Blue Owl, but the Monkey Lord is making a beeline for the area. I'm not sure if Speedy's knows that this GC is imminently close. I don't think he does, and the Monkey Lord stops at a critical juncture there, and it's getting in on the build power now of the building the GC, but the GC is going to make it online surely, and there we go. Opportunity by the slenderest of margins missed there by Speedy, and the GC now is going to annihilate the Monkey Lord. That could have gone so differently if there'd just been a little bit of extra scouting from Team 1. And there's a Monkey Lord in the final stages from Artifacts, but let's not forget that this chicken from Hybrid, having been pushed across to the left-hand side to reinforce the flank, is no longer required on the left-hand side, as the completion of the GC there, saving Team 2's bacon. And now Hybrid free to use the chicken on more aggressive means. We've just got a T1 bomber there heading over the top of the chicken, so Team 1 definitely know it's incoming, and already Morax looks like he's getting his skates on. No, he's not. He's going into a T3 upgrade instead. That's pretty questionable there. Morax obviously not noticing the incoming chicken, one thinks. And there's an attack ping going out, and Morax is promptly cancelling the T3 upgrade. The monkey is coming to offer some form of resistance to the chicken, but there's only going to be one winner in that encounter, and Morax is actually about facing here. He's already pretty light on hit points. He does have a personal shield on board of his UEF ACU, but the chicken and the Monkey Lord start to go into it, and Artifacts there just taking out a Arfum mistakenly before focusing in on the chicken, and there's frantic attack pings going out on the ACU of Morax as the chicken of Artifacts goes down, and Morax now squaring off with the chicken. His shield is almost depleted. There's about 23k HP left on the chicken, and it's gonna be freaking close. And Morax is surely gonna go down here to the Arfum, down to 500 hit points, but he vets. Oh, that is sick. Morax there with a very timely level of veterancy to save his life. Under 500 hit points, takes out the Arfum, goes up to 4th level of veterancy. And Matthew now is trying to move in just to finish off the red ACU of Morax, but Morax now, he's got 4 levels of veterancy. That's a fair degree of regen. So he's already back up to 5k. We do have Percy's being pushed up here from Matthew, and he needs to turn the attention of the Percy's onto the common Morax, and Morax turns and faces the Percy's. He gets and he vets again. takes out 3 Perseus with an OC, gets his 5th level of veterancy, but this time it's not enough, as Hybrid follows up with some offhams and finishes off the epic last stand of Morax, and has just been the nuke notification, and Illuminate 1 has launched the nuke and it's heading straight for the area of 2 Speedy. There is an SMD here, but it ain't gonna load in time, and 2 Speedy, well, he ain't running. So Speed's gonna eat this one in the face and goes down to the nuke from Illuminate 1. Did they know that was there? Because 2 Speedy, well, they did know it was there. Wow. So Speed electing to focus primarily on the completion of the megalith there, as opposed to assisting the SMD, and that's pretty much all she wrote for Team 1. I think Speed did kind of represent the last hope of Team 1 there, and Artifacts concurring with my analysis as he throws out the Control K. And Schlongdis finally managing to do something. He's been very inactive throughout the match. He's got the Corsair snipe on Aleg, which one would argue taking out a 1900 rated player for a 1300 rated player is a job well done, but Schlongdis hasn't been very competitive for Team 1. And we're just going to speed things up a little bit here as the inevitable approaches, and Schlongdis actually employing the use of whalers to push back advances from Matthew. There is another chicken making its way forward from Hybrid, and I think that's going to be what does this for Team 1. So the whalers continue to work on the Perseus of Matthew as he pulls them back with no air cover, but Schlongdis and Lape missing the the advance of the chicken here, and we do have a megalith being thrown up by Schlongdis, but that's very ambitious. It's never going to get built in time. And now the whalers turning their attentions to the chicken. No, they're not. They're going to land directly in front of the chicken, and the chicken is going to win air with a plasma beam. And it's now approaching the forward base of Schlongdis, and Schlongdis is going to present his ACU front and center for the chicken. There's a nice few turns of dodge in there from Schlongdis, but it's not going to make any difference, and the chicken finishing him off there. And now it's poor old Lape, who's got power issues. Lape's completed a fat boy, but he's power stalling, so he's intermittently losing shields on his ACU, and Fat Boy and Lape's going to go down pretty quickly to the chicken. And that concludes the match. Fast, frantic, chaotic. That was some pretty good stuff, and let's go ahead and take a look at the things. So Illuminate 1 getting 2 kills. He was credited with the kill over Chief Jaguar, which was done by he and Blue Owl, and Illuminate 1 also getting the kill of 2 Speedy with the nuke launcher. Schlongdis' contribution of the map was the elimination of the 1900 rated Aleg with a Corsair snipe. Artifacts killed of course Death Squad with the pigeon snipe. Blue Owl really should be, yeah, I mean, Blue Owl, we know he got the kill of Drimicus with the Mercies, but also doing a lot of the work on the kill for a Chief Jaguar. And Hybrid being really inactive for, I say inactive, for the first part of the game, but ecoed his way through nicely and ended up mopping things up for Team 2 with a couple of chickens, and of course Drimicus with the early kill of Mochalal Noob on the left-hand flank for Team 1. Taking a look at the categories, and 2 Speedy being accredited with most stuff built, power income going to Blue Owl, and then Illuminate 1 picking up mass income and kills. In terms of player of the match, I think we have to go with Illuminate 1 for this one. He did a really solid job of filling out the 3 starting base gap left by Alignagi when he was taken out by Schlongdis. And also getting the 2 kills, most notably the important kill of 2 Speedy, who was almost single-handedly carrying Team 1 at that point. So well played, everyone. Solid match. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content, and if you haven't yet considered subscribing, please do so. Alright guys, take care, and I will catch you in the next one.